all should be good. Good evening. It's been kind of a stream light set of weeks. Last week we had too much to do around the house. I think I did stream once. Yeah. There is a chance I can do another kind of short stream tomorrow, but it's gonna be kind of hot all week, most of the week. So yeah, we'll see. It's kind of unpleasant currently in the room. But I'm kind of eager to finish Alaska. And I think after I finish Alaska, I want to try MudRunner on stream. So we probably won't be jumping straight into Tamir. But yeah, that's for next time. Maybe not even this stream. Probably not this stream. Likely also not the one after this. We have 4 more contracts to do. And I don't know which is more difficult. Alright, but we established that all this stuff is pretty much in this map. Got our fuel. Cement is at here. No, metal beams from here. Planks from there. Hey yo, Spicy, how are you? Nice to see you again. It has been kind of a while. Haven't been able to stream as much as I would have liked this weekend and last week. I don't know if you're here already, but I think after I finish Alaska I want to try MudRunner and try streaming that for a bit. But yeah, I'm dilly-dallying. Had stuff to do, so it's understandable. Yeah. Sometimes you don't get to choose when you have a lot to do. Wait, because I'm not sure. I think I said I could do this with a semi-trailer, as much as I prefer. No, I'm gonna do it with the flatbed. Finished your bachelor degree? Oh, really? That is good news. This is not meant as an offense. I thought you were older for some reason. But maybe, look, it's not uncommon at all to get a degree later in life. So that's kind of a stupid thing to say of me. In what studies, if I may ask? I really don't know if there's an efficient way or a less efficient way to do this. I'm just gonna take it one cargo type at a time. Yeah, 2 of these. Engineering of business management. That sounds like something you could potentially earn a lot of money with. definitely more than what I studied, which was applied linguistics. It's like the bachelor is generally applied linguistics, mostly focused on translating, but the master, I think for the master you have to choose either translator or interpreter. But I never did the masters, so. Interpreter pays really well. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know, but I would assume. It's the classic case of choosing higher studies based on what you were naturally good at in secondary school, which in my case was languages. With no real regard for job prospects or anything financial, career related, you know. It's all just vibes. I don't know how that's... Wait, to rephrase. I don't really know what that's like nowadays, like if secondary school pays more attention to the future, so to speak. Or if it's still just, you know... I wouldn't say random, but kind of random in a way. Because I can't see many teenagers who would think, oh yeah, when I grow up I want to be an engineer of business management. Maybe some people do, I don't know. No judgment. It's just a guess. The car that you had was imported from France in order to make it legal. Wait, in order to make it yours legally, you had to translate 3 A4 papers from Français to Romanian. Yeah, that is a kind of... What's the official name? Like, technical translation. Which was part of my studies for a bit, like in the... Not so much in the first year, but in the second and third, there was a course, I think. Might be making this up. I think there was a course around technical translation, but it was still pretty basic. But yeah. My wife being Polish, and us being married, there were some official documents that needed to be translated for marriage purposes, and also for, I'm pretty sure also for her naturalization. And it was always like 100 to 200 euro. Wasn't planned I'd like to open a tire recycling factory. I wanted to have a degree that could possibly help. Pretty cool. I always respect when people have a very specific vision of what they want to do, which I never really had, even during my studies. I didn't necessarily want to become a translator. It was just kind of... it seemed the logical thing to do. Because it was pretty much the only thing I was good at in school. Only the factory and the machines are 1.2 mil. Yeah, that's a pretty steep investment. But I wish you the best in any case. I hope it works out. I know from second-hand experience that starting your own business is not easy. My wife has her own photography business now for 3 years. I think this is the 3rd year. And it's mostly going well. Each year better than the next, but you know, there is always uncertainty. And my brother-in-law has his own... what's the word even? Like, welding company. It's not welding necessarily, that is what he does, but it's like all kinds of metal work. He used to be an accountant, like corporate accountant. Yeah. She's mostly a wedding photographer. Started with... I mean, there was always the goal to become a wedding photographer full-time. In the beginning especially, she used to do pretty much any kind of photography, like family shoots, newborn, pregnancy, communions, Christmas, like very general, but also already weddings mostly. And she's been shifting more and more to only weddings, which is what she wants to do, so. Yeah, my brother-in-law was kind of a... like, again, I respect the change he made and the risk he took. Going from a very stable job, which he was not really happy with, I assume, to just quitting and starting up his own business, which so far is only growing. Yeah, I am Belge, I should say. Belgian, I don't know why I said it in French. I'm not even French speaking. Romania wedding photographer is about 500 to 700 plus meal. I won't tell her that you told me this. I don't know what the cost of living generally is like in Romania, but I don't know her prices from memory. but I think she asks around 1500 for a whole day. She has a bunch of, I mean, not super many, but she has a few packages. Yeah, depending on how long it takes. Like sometimes they only want the civil part or the ceremony. Sometimes it's the full 12 hours or more. Minimum wage is 520. You've made me wonder how much it is here. Minimum wage Belgian. This is just the AI response, so I don't know if it's 100% accurate. As of 1st of April 2026, minimum monthly income is just under 2,200 gross. I don't really know what that means. Oh, 520 net. Yeah, I don't know how taxes work, really. I don't know enough on the subject to guess how much it would be net. But if that's for a full-time job, I guess it's like 1600-ish. Taxes are 42%. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling kind of ignorant right now because I don't know what it is here. There are many adult things which I feel like I should know, but I just don't because I was never told and I never did much research. Wait, because where? Wood planks are here. Where's the cement? Don't stress, got time to learn. Well, not really. I'm almost 36. I should have a grasp on the essentials. If those are essentials, arguably they're not. It's probably cement here. I don't really know. I think I should be able to get them from there. Generally, I tend to avoid that specific pickup location because it's kind of awkwardly placed. Go on the mission, click on the materials you need, it will show you where you can pick it up. Yeah, I'm aware, just there have been a few missions where I had to pick up stuff from there. I think maybe concrete blocks or concrete slabs, I don't know. But I tried to avoid this road. I forget exactly what the mission was, but in those circumstances, for those specific missions, it was just easier to get the stuff in Mountain River. One cement. Yeah, I'd say it's my most used truck, both in Michigan and Alaska. While in Michigan, I took a short trip to Alaska because I remembered you could find this truck here for free. It was just a quick there and back again, but it meant that I didn't have to buy any off-road truck in Michigan. Because I'm pretty sure I couldn't financially. I still haven't sold any trucks. There hasn't been an urgent need to sell trucks. And even if I did, I'd only get half the retail value. Once again, I did not prepare water, which is a silly oversight. Because it's currently still 28 degrees. Yeah, I should hydrate, I will. Yeah, it was nice hanging for a bit. Thanks for stopping by, take care, enjoy the spoils of the bachelor's degree. Yeah, I'm gonna pause for a sec and go get my water. I don't think this is gonna be a very long stream. I guess in a way that was kind of expected. Wasn't even sure if it would be a good idea, to be honest. But like once a week is the bare minimum. Kinda wish I had a thermometer here in the room so I can check how hot it is, because surely it's way more than 28. This being the top floor of the house, right under the roof, with little to no circulation. Yups. I'm rushing. The end of Alaska beckons. Jesus. It's been half an hour. And it shouldn't take much longer. It's just 2 more wood planks to deliver. So let's say this contract was half an hour. I don't know why I always overshoot that corner. I just do. I don't dare to assume that the other ones will also take only half an hour. Probably much more. 2 planks. Reversing out seems quicker. If you steer the right way. I've been playing a few very different games. I had vague plans to start streaming a few games which I bought recently for very cheap. Those being Graveyard Keeper, Grimshire, Booth, and I think those were the main ones. But I decided to stick with SnowRunner and not get distracted by too many other games and just keep some level of consistency. But I did try them all. Like the first few days in Graveyard Keeper. It's pretty fun. I do want to keep playing it. Also the first few days in Booth, which, to be honest, I don't dislike. It's just really a game I need to be in a certain mood for. And I don't think I am the target audience, really. It's quite stressful. And also not very easy. Yeah, let's just move on to the next one. Oversized cargo. Can I get this here? No. North Port. The port. White Valley down here. And that's it. And it needs to go there, so I'd say I'd say I'm losing my voice. I don't think it matters much. I might as well start in White Valley still. Just leave this here in case I need it here. Apologies. Just had to loudly clear my throat because there's all kinds of stuff going on there. Nope. What am I doing? Just to make sure, this is 4 slots. Where do I have a semi-trailer? Oh wait, it's the perfect excuse to use the Transtar. But I will not take it through there because it's a bit too sticky. Yeah, so games. Booth is kind of a mixed bag. I'm not loving it. Probably won't play it much ever again. Definitely between Booth and Papers, Please. I much prefer Papers, Please. They are very similar. It's just in Booth you really have a conveyor belt that keeps moving and you have to try and keep up with it. Which is kind of a big source of stress. For me, at least. I can't deal with that kind of stuff. In Papers, Please, you do benefit from being efficient and fast, but you can take your time. Like, there's no there are no real consequences to being slow. In fact, usually for me it's better to be slow because then I make fewer mistakes. Grimshire of the 3. Wait, make sure I'm taking the right cargo. At this point, it's already been too long since I played Graveyard Keeper, because I did really enjoy it. It was very Stardew Valley-esque, but not really. A bit less childlike, if you will. Not that Stardew Valley is necessarily childlike, but you know. It's similar but different enough, is my point. And yeah, Grimshire I think is my favorite of the three so far. Haven't gotten very far yet. Just 5 days or so. Oops. And I've been having an itch as well to get back into, or to try and get back into City Skylines, which I bought and played for a bit many years ago, maybe 8 years, 8 or 9, no, 7 or 8, because I think it was 2019. It was very overwhelming at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all just a bit much. And I never really tried to learn it properly and get better. It's just one of those games that fell by the wayside. But I've been itching to try it again to see if maybe now I'm a bit smarter. I'm quite a bit older than I was then, so maybe some weird kind of natural wisdom and insight has grown inside my head. And in case I don't like City Skylines still, I was looking at some alternatives and like colony building games. RimWorld was kind of a big one, which is on my wish list, but I want to wait for a sale, and a pretty deep sale if possible, because it's a very risky game for me to try. As was City Skylines, I suppose. It's just not really the kind of game I ever played much of. But I was just checking Reddit recommendations of colony or city building games. And I ended up getting Planet Zoo, the first one, which happened to be on a very deep sale for, I think, €3, which is kind of absurd. That game used to be on my wish list for many years, but I never pulled the trigger. I removed it some time ago, but now, rather impulsively, I bought it and I'd like to try it sometime soon. These are all just games, how to explain? I think it's not necessarily a good idea for me personally to try games for the first time on stream. That can be fun, and it can be the more, spontaneous or genuine way to watch me play new games. But I feel like it just gets kind of boring fast, and I spend too much time thinking and figuring out what to do which I'm sure to some extent comes at the cost of how fun it is to watch. And definitely in the case of Booth, that was a good thing to do, because, you know, as it turns out, I don't like that game as much as I assumed I would. And if I had started it on stream, maybe it would be a bit weird that I would abandon it so quickly. And in the case of Graveyard Keeper and Grimshire, I'm trying not to overthink this, but I'm not doing a very good job. Because I think, well, for one, it shouldn't be an issue, or I shouldn't be too obsessed about only playing certain games on stream. Fellow... that came out weird. A fellow streamer, God of Deer, pointed out some time ago, pretty recently actually, that he kind of made a switch, and if he likes a game but he doesn't feel like streaming it, he just plays it by himself, and it's not an issue that some streams, like that there are gaps in the streams, so to speak. Which is a mindset I wish I could adopt. But it's not so easy, because I feel like, especially because all these streams end up on YouTube as well, I do still kind of treat them like series, so there should be continuity. If I were only streaming on Twitch, or more accurately, if I were only streaming and not having any archived streams or VODs or whatever, then it would be much easier to not worry about that and just play and stream games whenever I like. But yeah, in the case of Graveyard Keeper and Grimshire, I think I will just play through them once by myself, and then maybe in the future, if I ever need a longer break from SnowRunner or whatever the case may be, then I can do a full playthrough and hopefully kind of know what I'm doing. Nope, reverse. I don't know, we'll see. Initially the plan was to try those games if I like them enough to even consider streaming them or making videos of them in whatever shape or form. I'm having trouble thinking. I'm sure it's just the heat, mostly. I'm not a very coherent talker on the best of days. But yeah, initially the plan was to just try them, dip my toes, and then if I would want to stream any of them, either of them, I would just start a new game, and then the first few hours would be not new, but the rest of the game would be. I don't know. There's no real right or wrong. I'm also not sure if I want to do too much variety. Because I am very much committed to SnowRunner at this point. Secondarily also to ETS2. There are, from memory, at least 2 other games I would want to stream more of at some point. Being Cairn, I forget exactly. For sure, Care was one of them, so I want to get 100%, and eventually maybe finish a free solo run. Would be nice if I could capture all of that. I do have a series of videos on YouTube from my first Cairn playthrough. Somehow I feel like that game lends itself better to streaming than to videos. And then there is Session still. Again, not sure if that game, or there it's the opposite actually. I have made quite a few videos of it over the years. A bit less so in recent months, because I got distracted by many other games. I have tried streaming it a few times. I'm not really sure it's a good game to stream because it's kind of uneventful most of the time. There's a lot of falls and failed attempts at tricks. Which is easy to edit out when you're just doing regular videos. On stream that might just become kind of painful to watch, unless you're really into skating and or in session. I have been playing quite a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 in the last 2 weeks or so. I got it not long after release, I believe. Currently working through the solo tours, like just beating both games or both halves of the game with all the 30, I believe, pro skaters. I used to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, the original, quite a lot. Often too much. Just ask my dad. I remember one time, I think I must have gotten a bad report card or something. And he got upset and said it was because I was playing too much of, quote, that surfing game. He means well, but kind of took the sting out of being told off that specific time. Those games, I feel like they would lend themselves better to streams. Again, I'm considering it. It's one of the several games. I said there were only 2, but now that I'm listing them, it's probably more like 5. 5 games which I might play in addition to SnowRunner. And ETS, I guess. Although, maybe I should consider ETS a secondary game as well, because I keep mentioning it. I do play it quite a bit in my own time. But because I try to be focused on SnowRunner, I don't end up streaming it as often as I kinda would like to. Also because it's just a different vibe, it's much more monotonous, as I've mentioned many times before. It is both more monotonous than SnowRunner, and at the same time more varied. I'm pretty sure the last time I streamed it, I was looking into buying the first garage upgrade, because I wasn't really sure how the progression worked, like what would be the logical way to do things. Buy more trucks, hire people, buy more garages, expand garages, or upgrade garages. But then it was established that the logical thing would be to upgrade the garage first, because you need the first upgrade to be able to hire your first employee or first few employees. From memory, that costs 180,000. So, and I think currently I have a bit over 200,000. So I could buy the first garage upgrade and maybe hire someone. I doubt I'd be able to afford a second truck, which might be the next thing to do. I'll have to check, because it's something I didn't consider until now. I don't know if you can have more than one truck before you upgrade the garage. Because if you can't, then there's no real issue. If you can, then maybe I should buy a second truck first, so that when I upgrade the garage and hire a worker, I can give him one of my own trucks. Anyway, when I'm playing in my own time, I only do quick jobs, because It's just simple. No need to worry about how much money you have, how much tolls cost, and repairs and fuel. Because it's all paid by your employer. Incidentally, I tried to save all the actual career progression, like all the upgrading and expanding that you can do. I tried to save all of that for the streams, but that's kind of difficult, and it doesn't really work if I never stream that game. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we will not be finishing Alaska this time. This is, I'm pretty sure, only the first phase of this contract. Please don't drop back to first. Hang on, let me just check my temps and not crash. GPU 157, memory 76, GPU 262, CPU 77-ish. It's not great, but it could be much worse. For sure, I was expecting it to be quite a bit higher. I just heard my fans ramp up. So maybe it was a bit higher, like high 70s, low 80s. It's so nice. Every once in a while there is a cool breeze blowing in. It's the little moments, just to make sure, because I'm likely to turn in here. On the subject of games, just to make it clear, I am very much open to suggestions. Like if any of the games I mentioned really appeal to you and you would like to see one or a whole series of streams of any one of them, do let me know. Not Booth, though. I mean, primarily Grimshire, Graveyard Keeper, ETS2 obviously, but I'm streaming that anyway. Session Cairn. I'm sure there were other ones that I'm forgetting. Very likely I will try them sooner rather than later. But I feel like I've been streaming SnowRunner so much lately, and the people that have subscribed were mostly because of those streams. These streams, I should say. So it's easy to assume that you mostly care about SnowRunner. Not to talk numbers too much because it's kind of uninteresting. But these streams, the SnowRunner streams, they do seem to get quite a bit more views generally. So when I do stream something else, like I have streamed Stardew Valley a few times, ETS2 to an extent also doesn't do as well. Even The Binding of Isaac, which is generally a pretty popular game on Twitch at least. I just feel like I've kind of made SnowRunner my lane, so to speak. And when I try to step out of that lane, it just doesn't really work all that well. It's too difficult to say what that's due to, but I like to think that it's at least in part because the people who like SnowRunner are a bit less likely to like other games as much. Which is fair. Like, I know it sounds a bit like I'm blaming you as a viewer, which I'm absolutely not. I'm grateful for any views I get. But sometimes you do have to be a bit more strategic, and now that it seems that I've built some kind of audience for SnowRunner, it makes sense to stick with that, at least for the foreseeable future, and not try to do too many different things, and just, you know, because that gets confusing for me because I never know what to play. I'm sure it also gets confusing to you because you don't really know what to expect. To which the obvious solution would be to just have a schedule with fixed days for fixed games. But the problem with that is that, for one, I am physically not capable to stick to a schedule. So it's just easier in that sense to limit how many games I can play. And also I don't have enough days in the weeks that I can stream realistically. So that also wouldn't really work in that sense. I should take a moment to plan how I'm going to do this, because this all needs to go to Pedro Bay. Which means perhaps the Transtar isn't really the best choice anymore. I I can't get any of that stuff in Pedro Bay. So, wait, oh, nuts. Too much talking, not enough paying attention. Because wait, concrete slab and 1 cement, it's 3 slots. The second thing is exactly the same, so also 3 slots. And the last one is 2, so I could take the last 2 things in one trip. Because I have 5 slots in my trailer. So yeah, that's from here. Can you get both those things here? No. But since I'm pretty much here, I'll pick up the beams. Apologies. Then I'll cut through here, although no. Although yes, it should be okay. Even with chains and in the Transtar, which doesn't have any off-road capabilities, really. Should I do this in a different truck? Because really this is what needs to go there. It says factory stock loading and warehouse loading. Okay, this is... I can't read. I just saw storage zone. So this is a slab and cement. This is a slab and cement. This is the beams. But I do need chains, or I would prefer to have chains. Yeah, we'll try. Apologies, that took a bit longer than I wanted it to. It's just how it goes. I spent too long staring at the map trying to be efficient. I have diagnosed autism, but I often wonder if there isn't a hint of ADHD there as well. Not to self-diagnose, because it's not really cool. It's very easy to self-diagnose and then believe that you have whatever condition when you really don't. Okay. Always that same barrel. There is some weight on the back wheels, which helps a lot. Never mind that I was just here. One cement, one slab. I always triple check because it's very easy to load up concrete blocks instead of slabs. I choose to believe we should be fine. Take another sip soon. It is very slowly going down. It's at 28 earlier. Now it's 27. That's about as small of a drop as there can be. I think today they gave 30, and tomorrow as well, if I recall. Throughout the week, the highest that I saw was 33 again. Luckily, I don't have to go anywhere. That's not true. We do have to go somewhere on Thursday. And on Friday. But by then, hopefully, it'll be a bit cooler again. So we're getting very close to actually moving. The very brief recap. We bought an apartment, started looking around in January, I think. It always seems like it was difficult to find something that we could afford and that was not a dump. But really, I think it only took a month or so of frequently checking the ads. I think we only went to see 5 places at most. So really it wasn't that bad, but maybe we were kind of projecting, because stereotypically it is difficult to find a place to rent even, let alone to buy. More accurately, it is difficult on our budget, which wasn't super high, but still managed to find something. There have been some issues along the way, which I won't go into too much detail because it will take forever for me to remember exactly how it went. And it will just not be interesting to hear, I assume. But we are signing the final thing this, no, Friday. I was gonna say Thursday. On Thursday we have to go there to the apartment, but the signing is only on Friday. From then we should get the keys. We're not 100% sure how it will go. Maybe we'll only get the keys at the end of the month, which would seem strange. I did not take this section into account. Yeah, that's not great. And now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, signing next week. We plan to move the big things the week after. But really, we will still have the entire months of August and September, because our notice only ends at the end of September, where we currently live. So we do have a lot of time, but if we want to move the big things in 2 weeks, that means they have to be empty and disassembled, which means like the big wardrobe we have, our beds, whatever other furniture that we can't move in the car, which is pretty much everything. So very likely, I mean definitely we should start packing. We're both kind of terrible procrastinators, which doesn't help. Can I not reach? No. This might still be the stock winch, because that seems like a very small radius. Yeah, as it goes, most likely we will have to do all our packing in a week's time, which sounds doable at the same time. I mean, doable and not doable at the same time. It's that thing where neither of us really moves a muscle until it's absolutely necessary, and then we get everything done in 2 days. Or just last weekend, the reason why I couldn't stream was that on Monday one of the realtor people was going to come over to take pictures of the house to use in their ads to put online. So we had to clean the entire house as best we could and tidy it as best we could, which was difficult because Anna had an entire day wedding on Saturday, I believe, And on Sunday, like the day after a long wedding, usually she spends most of the day just resting. So she did also do a lot. But while she was gone, and also that Sunday, I spent pretty much both entire afternoons and most parts of the day cleaning. And then you realize that it's really not that bad, and it would be not that big of a deal if you just keep up with it, which we don't do. Well, this is not good. Can I maybe winch the rear to that so I can sort of leverage myself out? We did what we could. The realtor guy was still kind of unimpressed. And, you know, that wasn't the best thing. He spent the better part of 3 days cleaning. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then you still kind of... I think he literally said it wasn't ideal. Not because it was dirty, just... I mean, it wasn't dirty anymore. But just because we have stuff everywhere, and I did my best to, like, stack things and move things around a bit strategically. Because one of our 2 bedrooms is pretty much a storage place. It's where my wife's photo studio used to be, but she doesn't really do studio shoots anymore. So that room has become storage. But if you add storage, or like if you add boxes and just whatever kind of stuff from non-storage rooms in the house to the designated storage room, then the storage room doesn't really look any worse. But the rooms where you took the stuff from, they do look much nicer. I feel like I went the wrong way. Yeah. You dipstick. Fuel might become an issue soon. At least in the case of my wife, we both know, and she especially knows, that she needs some kind of deadline to function. Which is why she doesn't do much until it's absolutely necessary, and then she does it pretty easily. So I'm not too worried about her being able to pack everything in time. or at least empty out all the furniture in time so we can move the furniture. But sometimes I think that I can operate the same way, and I often do operate that way. But at the same time, I also very much prefer to do things right away. Like, in that sense, we're kind of opposites. Because she will operate under the logic that there is still time and it doesn't really matter when we do it, when we do whatever we need to do, as long as it gets done in the end, like by the deadline. Whereas I don't prefer, it's just how I function most of the time. I prefer to get things out of the way so they don't hang over my head, and I can free up some mental bandwidth. Because of course it depends on the nature of the thing that needs to be done. I do often postpone things to the very last day. But generally, I am able to do things right away, and I prefer to do things right away because then it's just done. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out in this situation. We have already moved together twice, I believe. I was living in a co-housing situation when we met. She helped me move to where she was living at the time, which was pretty easy because I barely had any stuff. Come on. Wait, just to make sure. Although, let's try to get out first. The first time we moved together, neither of us, like I still had pretty much the same amount of stuff. This was a year or so later. But back then she also was living in an apartment still. A fairly small apartment, so she had not that much stuff to move. The second time we moved to our current residence, we had more stuff, but still not that much. But really, in the 3 years that we've been living here, we just accumulated so much stuff, like at least a few more storage pieces of furniture. The huge wardrobe, which I kind of dread to think about. If we can even put it in the new place, then we will have to deassemble it. It's kind of struggling because there's no more weight on the back wheels. Can I reach? Yes. I apologize for rambling, but there isn't much chat happening, which is fine. But I don't really have that much to talk about, really. Except potentially boring real-life stuff. She is very much my rock in these situations, because just yesterday I was saying that it was a bit overwhelming because we haven't given ourselves a lot of time to get things in order. We already arranged with my brother-in-law and my best friends to move the big things in 2 weeks, because my brother-in-law has a pretty big van, and my best friend can move entire couches by himself, so to speak, but perhaps he could. But yeah, it'll all have to go pretty fast. But she keeps comforting me that I don't need to worry as much. We'll figure things out. We do have almost 2.5 months to move fully. So it's not like there is real time pressure. If necessary, we can still not move in 2 weeks and just postpone it and do a lot of the smaller stuff which we can do in the car first. I overthink, which is rarely healthy. So I need quite a bit of comforting, if I'm honest. Not like I'm outwardly upset or anything, just she can tell when I'm pining over something. If anything, cleaning the house thoroughly, like we did last weekend, made me feel quite a bit better about how much stuff we do have, really. Because it seems like yeah, tenses are difficult. It seems like we do have not as much stuff as I thought we did, even though it's still a lot. The one fortunate thing is that I don't know the technical term in English, but each year there are a few weeks where there is no construction at all. I don't know if it's a national or a regional thing, but where we live it's, I think, 3 weeks, starting next Monday, as in this Monday. So effectively already as of today, meaning that the construction site just across the street, which is causing so much trouble for us, is not doing anything currently for the next few weeks. I'm trying to think what it's called in Dutch. Literally translated, it's like I need to refuel. It's like construction holiday. So no construction across the street. The parking spaces in front of our house are free, as free as they can be. At least they're not occupied by vehicles from the construction. And if all goes according to plan and we move in 2 weeks with the van, that construction holiday will still be going then, so we should be able to park more easily. We'll still have to reserve spots and potentially annoy the neighbors, because I'm sure some of them, if not all of them, are also happy that the parking spaces are more likely to be free for the next few weeks. But that one day we'll have to occupy one or maybe two, just so the van can be parked as close as it can be. Really, I'm just hoping we don't have to hire people, because I know in most cases when you hire moving people, they do a good job and they're a big help, obviously. But it's another point of concern for me, because it's interacting with people. Also, if we would have to move, or if we would have to hire a moving elevator crane thing, that would also be kind of a source of anxiety for me. Mostly because of the social things, like the interacting itself and trusting other people with our stuff. But it's also the height. I have had to deal with moving cranes a few times, most recently when my mother moved to a new place. It's just, it gives me anxiety when my wife is taking a picture from a bridge across a river, or from a high place generally. And there is a risk of her phone falling off. Not falling off. When there is a risk of her dropping her phone. In situations like that, I just look away because it's too much for me to handle. So yeah. Moving heavy things 10 meters above the ground, that's a bit much. Which is why I'm hoping that we can disassemble. I always forget if it's disassemble or deassemble. If we can take apart as much of the furniture as we can, just so it fits in the van, and then we can carry it up the stairs. I know that's a lot more work. I know it would probably be better to hire a crane thing elevator. It's just I really prefer not to. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if we can put a crane there, because there aren't any vertical windows, because it's directly under a roof. Kind of. There is an attic above us, but most of the walls are part of the roof, i.e. slanted. And we haven't been there in too long, so we didn't know for sure how big the windows even are, and if we would be able to fit things through with an elevator. If an elevator would even work there. Be able to reach and stuff. How long have I been going? 1 hour, 42 minutes, 28 seconds. I apologize, I'm not talking about the game very much. It's just kind of playing on autopilot for the most part. I have a feeling I should not have used this truck for these few deliveries. Because now it's fine, because there's load on the back wheels. But getting out from here is probably going to be a bit more tricky, just like it was before. Probably should have just taken the Royal with chains, or even the White Western with chains. Yeah, see, that is not good. I think if I can get past this bit, the rest should be a bit easier. It's tempting to sell the trailer right after I complete this, so I can recover. But I'm sure we will need another semi-trailer. I forget if this is the only one I have, or if there's a second one lying around the map somewhere. Okay, stage complete. Just want to check ahead. Yeah, this is gonna be 4 trips. Not sure from where to where. And then this, which is 2 for the bricks, 2 for the slabs, so another 4. And this is cargo containers. And slabs. Wait. Concrete slabs to White Valley. We cannot get concrete slabs here. This is just blocks. So we'll have to get them here again. So that's 2 slabs, that's 4 slots. Pick those up here. And then just down the roads. No wait, because that's to the factory. The factory is here, so that's pretty easy actually. And then container. Where do you get the cargo containers? Not here. Not here. Northport. And those I assume are 2 slots each. Need to drink. So yeah, 2 containers, that's 4 slots, so 1 trip with the semi. And then 1 needs to go there, which is a bit off-road. And 1 here, which is just road. If I drive very, very slowly, not slowly, very carefully, which probably means slowly, I might use the twin steer. Not too convinced though. It is easy to think that it's just mostly roads. But actually the twin steer is not that great on roads. It's like, in my opinion, the twin steer does best in environments where it's very muddy but level. There's like flooded areas and stuff, and wider off-roading sections. Yeah. Dilly-dallying. I need this trailer anyway, so we might as well drive out of here. And hopefully not get stuck. Yeah, this is not the right element for this truck. To be a bit careful here because it's kind of a treacherous little sinkhole. not so bad. I would like to finish this contract today. Should be very doable. It's really only 2 trips. One with the slabs, one with the containers. The slabs I can for sure do in the Transtar. For the containers I might switch to likely to the White Western. I did want to use the Fleetstar at least once more before the end of this region. But the thing is, there's always a better truck for any job. Because for off-roading, which the Fleetstar can do if you're careful. But I have the Royal for purely road routes, road deliveries. I have the Transtar and the White Western. For heavy off-roading I wouldn't use the Fleetstar anyway, but I have the Cat and the P16. So yeah, it just kind of falls... what's the expression? It falls through the holes in the net, if that's how you say it. Not even sure how you would say it in Dutch. It's just never the best choice. But I suppose I could use it for the containers. It can do off-road well enough. We'll just have to see. It depends on if I have chains for it already. Because I don't really feel like buying chains specifically for the Fleetstar, because it has I believe 44-inch tires. The White Western has 47, so I can't swap those over. I forget what size the Transtar has, but I think they're 39s maybe. Or 42 something. What are you doing, man? Whoops. A bit too vigorously. I'm curious to see what truck I could use, and if I could use the Fleetstar. But I mustn't rush. I was thinking if I should put the advanced heavy winch, no, advanced medium winch on the Transtar as well. Because I have most of my trucks equipped with that winch. But realistically, it's kind of a waste of money at this point. So after this region, we'll be in Russia, where I won't allow myself to use American trucks. Russians only. And yeah, I suppose in Wisconsin I could find a use for the Transtar, so maybe when we get to that map I could install the advanced medium. It's hard to say. That also depends how much I want to do in Yukon and Wisconsin, because I said I was only going to scout those maps and collect whatever trucks you can find there. Trucks, upgrades, maybe some of the easiest tasks. But I know myself, and it is likely that I will, like once I start those maps, I will want to power through and fully complete them a second time. For context, in case this is your first time watching, this is my second playthrough. I have a few hundred hours on Steam, on PlayStation. I bought the game again on Steam, and I only used the Steam game to stream. But because I didn't, or it's not actually true, I was gonna say, because I haven't, or because I have, I'm sorry, I really can't talk anymore. If I ever could. Considering I have played Yukon and Wisconsin and Kola already on PlayStation, I wasn't sure if I wanted to fully play through those regions again, which is when, or why, a viewer suggested that I could just scout those maps, get all the upgrades and trucks, but not actually do anything else in them. Mostly so I could get to the regions which I have never played before faster, being the ones after Wisconsin. For a while it was looking like I was going to finish Wisconsin relatively soon. I think I still have a bunch of logging contracts to do there on PlayStation. But I've been playing so many other games that they've all gone at the cost of SnowRunner. It's still likely I'll finish Wisconsin before I get to it here on Steam. If so, I'm not sure what I'll do. Because I could start the next one, which I think is Amour hammer aimer. Yeah, I'm not sure. Wait. Now I want to check at the garage. Come to think of it, if I would get started in armor on PlayStation, maybe if and when I get to that region in this game on Steam, maybe then I would also just want to scout it. Or at that point, maybe I could play them in tandem, although that doesn't sound very fun. Playing the same region on two platforms at the same time in tandem. Maybe I'll skip to the next one then on Steam. I'm not sure. Where is my Fleetstar? Might be in Northport. Might be in the Northport garage. No. It seems it's not. I think it should say on the map if it were. There's all kind of commotion going outside. Probably just pigeons. Pedro Bay? No, it's just the ANK. Where is that Fleetstar? Oh. Okay, I do have the chains for it. So I think I will swap the flatbed for the low saddle. Dog outside. Low saddle. Is this the raised suspension? Yeah. A lot of yelling outside. Doesn't sound like it's related to the World Cup. Yeah, 42. We might as well. We have some cash. I can sell these ones for half price. And the small off-road tires, I think I want to keep because sometimes I just prefer to have the stock suspension for stability reasons. Highway tires, I have no use for those. So yeah. Now I'll go swap out the semi-trailer where we left it. It's nice to be driving this truck again. I really haven't used it that much so far, even in Michigan. I forget when exactly I went to Alaska just to collect the Royal, but I think I did pretty early on. And ever since I had the Royal, there was no real reason to use the Fleetstar much. Definitely not as much as I would have used it if I didn't have the Royal. Because, yeah, traditionally, for most people, I think, the Fleetstar is the MVP of the early game, at least until you get the yelling children, at least until you get the White Western. I really need to recover this. It's been in the way for like 3 streams now. It's a very silly reason, but a big part of why I like the Fleetstar currently is because of the color. Wait. Let's try and repark at least a bit smarter. That was not smarter. Yup, swing her around. Detach. Okay. Now, a fairly long trip, but not that long, to the port in Northport. That came out funny. Not sure what my mouth was trying to say. Um, 2 hours, 9 minutes. Yeah, I'd say another half hour or so. I do have to remember to go to that gate and not to the Mountain River gate. It's gonna be hard to miss now because only the correct one is marked. I hope I didn't make a big mistake. Because as good of a truck it is, it does have its limitations. I don't think it should struggle with the 2 containers on the roads at all. I'm a bit less confident about the few, maybe just the one off-road section from the road to the, must be the oil rig service site. Slowly through these rocks. And barriers. I'll probably mention it again at the end of the stream, but I feel like I have to mention it now because I think of it now, and I might not think of it later. But yeah, it is somewhat likely that there will be less streaming happening in the next few weeks. Obviously because of all the moving preparations and the actual moving. It still remains to be seen when we will actually start living in the new place. Because my wife had the plan to move there as soon as we get the keys, basically. At least as soon as we move the big stuff. But we'll need to transfer all the ISP for sure. Also the water and electricity provider companies. All that red tape that you have to wade through. Usually it's pretty simple and it's not as difficult as I think it is to get all that stuff in order. It's just, it's never fun to deal with all that. So you have to make sure that you know, I haven't given it enough thought, if I'm honest. But if we already move the water and power as of August, we'd still have to pay for power and water here. And we'll have to do like a final bill, I suppose. Usually there isn't that much time, I think. The last times we moved, it was all much more seamless. I want to park, or I want to be facing the right way before I load the containers. Jaido, hello, how are you? Good sweltering evening to you. Cargo. I might change my mind, but as I plan it, this is gonna be the last thing I do today. It's already been a few hours and it's quite uncomfortably hot as usual. Not as usual. Because, in fact, the last week was pretty pleasant. Most nights we didn't even have to leave the fan on at night. But these last few nights we have, because it's still very hot. Not as hot as it was 2 weeks ago. But still not quite a heat wave, I think. I forget what the official requirements are. It's like a minimum temperature for a certain amount of days. But I don't know the temperature. I think it's 4 days and maybe temperatures above 30, maybe even 27. For some reason I have 27 in my mind. Don't overcook the sweeping bends. But yeah, getting fairly close, not to say very close, to finishing up Alaska. Just, well, after this contract, which will be finished soon, hopefully, barring any big catastrophes. After this one, it's just the 2 cargo apocalypse, or whatever they're called. It's a stupid name. Cargo apocalypse, yeah. So just those 2, which I think I will save for next time. And then all the trailers, which I think are quite a few. Just round those up and sell them. And then we are done with Alaska. And I mentioned it at the beginning, but I'm seriously considering that after I finish Alaska and before I move on to Tamir, I will try MudRunner on stream. In part because I feel like if I don't play it on stream, I will never play it full stop. Which would be a shame, because I am curious about it. There is a small chance, or to rephrase, it is somewhat unlikely I will end up liking MudRunner better than SnowRunner. But I think I will still like it. I'm just not sure what I will like about it. I've read many reports that the driving physics are much nicer in MudRunner. So I'm definitely curious about that. I know about the limited cargo, it's just logging. But yeah, still. I don't even really know how big the game is, like how many regions or maps there are, if it's just one region. Now I want to check. MudRunner maps. Mod maps, which I'm not super interested in. List of maps available in ModRunner and its DLCs. I forget if I have the DLCs. But there are quite a few actually. 9 Siberian, 6 in the base game. Let's focus on base game. So 6 Siberian maps in the base game. 2 Siberian DLCs and then 3 American maps DLC. And then in Siberia and America there is also 1 certified mod map. So yeah, quite a few. I don't know at all how big those maps are. We'll find out soon enough, I hope. The other day there was kind of a funny incident in the street. We had gone shopping, we had parked in our street and we're on the way from the car to the house. We had to cross and it was kind of a blind crossing, I guess, because there were fences from the construction right in, like, the construction site ends right at the crosswalk, and there was those big, I forget the brand, anyway, those typical construction fences. So from that side of the street, if you're in a car approaching the crosswalk, it can be difficult to see pedestrians who want to cross there. Usually they walk a bit in the street anyway. They don't just walk up to the fences and then make a 90-degree turn to cross. But I guess we did. We crossed exactly on the crosswalk, like the weirdos we are. And there was a car approaching, not even that fast, like not speeding at all. We walked up to the crosswalk. We had time to stop. We saw him coming, so we stopped. He must have seen us too late or not really paying attention, or I don't know. But he just, for the speed he was going, he did the most obnoxious skid. Like, I don't know how to express myself well in English. But yeah, just, it sounded like he was going 100 kilometers an hour, and he would run us over if he didn't stop in time. Like, it was a full-on emergency stop on his end, when we just really there was no danger whatsoever. Maybe he thought we were going to cross anyway without any consideration. But we saw him coming well in time, and still he, like, it's maybe the loudest skid I've ever heard. It wasn't even a very sporty car, just some kind of hatchback. He was Dutch, for what that's worth. And I just realized I only had to do this bit once, which wasn't even that bad, but now I can go along the better roads. It was loud enough that our neighbor kid, like one of their 5 children or whatever, he came out of the house as we were approaching our front door just to check what all the hoopla was about. Because surely something must have happened that a car would screech that loudly. I didn't really dare to look at the guy in the car. If it was a guy, I assume it was. I don't know, because I didn't look. I don't know if he was for some reason mad at us for stopping at a crosswalk. Maybe he was apologetic, maybe he was kind of outraged, I don't know, maybe just shocked. Very strange. So deliver this, then I want to kind of plan ahead for the last 2 contracts, which I will do next time. And I want to see how many trailers there are to collect, just to get an idea how long it will roughly take. You saw nothing. Level 29, so only 1 more level to go till max. I think it's 30. Oh my, oh my. Can't remember anyone hauling that much cargo in 1 trip before. It's like 2 containers. And I think I saw correctly that it was... damn it, I can't see anymore. But I think... if I remember how to get to the player menu profile... No, that can't be right. I thought I saw 31,000. But we had 160 something, I think. Just checking that I didn't miss anything. 2 more missions to complete. And that's it. So yeah, wait, let's turn off. Cargo Apocalypse Part 1. 3 large pipes, 4 concrete blocks. Where can you get concrete blocks? Nope. Not here. Is there only 1 pickup location for concrete blocks? Or should I probably should activate the thing first. Yeah, here, but that's hardly ideal. Surely it's much faster / easier to get them here. So those need to go from there, Mountain River, to there. I'm not quite sure how you get there, if I'm honest. Yeah, that's gonna take a while. Maybe you're supposed to go through here, and then there's an obvious path. I know there are paths here, I just can't really see them on the map. Up here is one. So perhaps we could also go down here and then up to there. It's probably the shortest. And then large pipes. I think the only place was here. So that's gonna be 4 trips. 3 for the pipes, 1 for the blocks. Time consuming, but all in all, not that difficult, I hope. Although I'm not really looking forward to taking large pipes to here. Let's say there will be incidents. And then this is bricks and slabs. Yeah, anyway. Trailers. Just a few. Hopefully none that are too hard to get to. That's mine. Service. Well, that can't be any closer to a store. Quite a few in Northport. Yeah, actually. It might be 2 more streams to finish Alaska instead of just 1. As much as I'm looking forward to being done with Alaska, these trailers, I know they probably won't take as much time because it's like they're all one-way trips essentially. But yeah, that'll take some time. Those 2 contracts will as well. Maybe I'll be able to get it done in 1 stream. Depends how long I'll be able to stream for and how long I can last in the sweatbox. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for today. It's a bit shorter than usual, 2.5 hours only. It's getting kind of late. I need to go downstairs, take a cold shower, and just kind of chill for a bit. Literally. So yeah, thanks for hanging, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.